October is Black History Month. Today I would like to introduce Reggie and Dujon, who are going to share their story about their ethnic background and experiences with racism growing up. Welcome guys to my channel. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Reggie. So I was born and raised in London. I live in North London. Family heritage, so I'm Nigerian and my dad is Igbo and my mom's Efik. Yeah, that's a high level about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Dujon and I have always lived in northwest London in the Mill area. I went to university and did sociology, so I feel like I've got quite a good knowledge of a lot of social issues and social inequality issues and racial issues.
Have you ever experienced racism or seen racism while growing up, and how has it affected you?
For me, direct racism, I'm going to say no. I would say in the UK, it's quite covert, whereas like you see in America, it's very overt in some places or some circumstances,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So I would say I've experienced it, but no one's come up to my face and directly insulted me. Nah, that's never happened before. But yeah.
Similar to Reggie, I would say I haven't really, had any sort of racial issues directly, but maybe in a more systematic way through the work environments that I've worked in or through education in schools.
Yeah, I would say I've always been reasonably keyed in. That I notice the inequalities that black people and other people of colour as well. I don't know, it's I personally find, maybe being a black man, I find that the racism towards black people is just a bit more there.
Are you comfortable sharing an example?
Yeah, absolutely.
Either of you?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, fine. I'm an open book. Let's think. I've got a couple. So let's say, for example, there was one experience. I was at school, so I was pretty young. Don't know, I could have been 14, 15. Let's say 15. I think about
Very
that.
young, yeah.
Yeah. So one guy said something about my mate. So my friend's Ghanaian, and he went to do something, right? And he fell down when doing it. It was in PE, and it was a muddy day, slippery, all of that. So he was on grass, fell down, and then this one guy who, I wouldn't say he was racist, but I would not say either, so you always seem that kind of way inclined, right? Yeah.
Ignorant, yeah.
So this guy said, like everyone was laughing, don't get me wrong, it's funny. Why not? Everybody should laugh, right? But then he goes, look at that effing monkey, right? And I was like, what? I said, what? And then I said, no, don't say that again. You're gonna take back that statement. And he goes right to my face and says, you have a look at that effing monkey. And I was like, right, no problem. So it ended, yeah. All parties probably wish they did things in different ways, but we came to a resolution, and that's where it ended. But yeah, that's probably one experience that was a little bit more obvious, but didn't happen directly to me. It was about a friend, but because of the colour of his skin, right?
Wow.
So that's one experience I have. I've probably got, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but going on trains, when I used to go university in southwest London, and on trains, you'll be surprised at getting on in the morning how much space people will give you, and like
Yeah,
I'm fine. I don't want
completely
people
understand,
up against me. Don't get me
Or
wrong.
like
but,
when you're walking on
you
the
know,
road and someone walks to the
the
other
other side,
side,
they
things
happen
like
all
that.
the
These
time.
small little things
Yeah.
that you might not initially realize, but then when you think back, you're thinking like, okay, that's sort of the attitude that they may have. For me personally, I always considered myself as quite not an intelligent person, but I felt like that was something that was always pushed upon me from teachers as a young kid. But then when you really like start to become yourself and you start to think, you know what, I wasn't actually that stupid or dumb or what at the level they thought I was. That definitely does happen in the school system, and the way people are graded, the way people are treated. They automatically assume maybe a black kid's a troublesome kid, a kid that causes trouble in the school. But you know, often, you know, when you sit down and talk with these kids, they're just as smart as any other kid in the school.
Teachers like brings me to another example. So I was at uni and I was going for one award, and there was something as an interview I had to do. Now this isn't racism, and this teacher probably thought she was giving me a really good compliment, but we had an interview, so she was talking to me about, you know, what I've done, etc., to achieve this award and whatever. And halfway through it, a formal interview I'll have you. I was in a suit. She goes to me, "You are so eloquent. You speak so well. Amazing." I was like, "Thank you." I mean, right there, I was just thinking, I mean, this is a formal interview. What are you doing?
What
are you doing?
expect?
But she is
Yeah.
there, like, thinking she's giving me a compliment. I don't blame her at all. Not at all. Not in that scenario, but I mean, it happened, right?
Yeah.
Like in year 9, we had to choose history or geography.
Yeah.
And I went for geography. I hated history. But I realized we never learned anything relative to us, or
I
relevant
mean,
even.
what they would teach
At all.
is in terms of like black culture, they would only teach the bits that depicted us as inferior.
Wait, I didn't even get taught
So,
that, because I
didn't
left
you?
that at year
Right,
9,
so
right?
I was in, so I did GCSE and
Yeah.
A level, and I loved history because I loved knowing what's happened previously.
Yeah.
And you know, like obviously you have the slave trade, which is like I feel like they need to do that because it's pretty much what they built the British Empire and a lot of the nations in the world from.
Yeah.
So you know they've got that, but then there's also a lot of other black culture and history out there. You know.
Today, black culture has become very popular. How does that make you feel?
I think I know how it makes you feel, but go on.
I mean, yeah, no,
I wanna
it's a
know.
good feeling, you know, to be for culture to be recognised as widely as it does right now. Music, fashion, even as it goes down to sometimes, you know, the way people speak. It's great, and you know, sometimes you get people. There's this term called like culture vultures, where you know a lot of people are saying people are taking bits of black culture and sort of trying to make it their own, or not trying to give the credit where credit's due.
I like people appreciating my culture or what I'm into and stuff. I think it's cool. My issue, if I can say that, is when people from outside the culture try and use some of it. I'm all for that. Do what you want. Everyone like do anything you want to do. But it's when they profit from it and don't try and help the culture. That's my only issue, because how I see it is systematically, in creative world mostly, but throughout all industries really, for the most part everyone knows that black people are at a disadvantage, right? So the fact that you can come in and take some of the culture and do your thing with it and become super successful, awesome. But pay homage, you know, help those who, you know, it's difficult for. That's what I want. But if you just kind of do your thing and then you're out.
How did you feel when you heard about the incident with George Floyd?
Yeah, no. So the way I feel about it was, it was rough. I mean, for a lot of people, they would have felt the same way as me. So I hated every second of it. The video was disgusting, to be honest. It really. I mean, you get angry, and like, I feel it's justified to get angry. I don't know this guy, but I know that this is a guy who looks just like me, He's like 6'5" or something, but but he looks just like me, and purely because of that, I've watched the tapes. I've seen the footage before he got into the incident from the corner store. The guy did nothing wrong whatsoever. I mean, they claim he had a fake note. Even if he did, what the hell?
Yeah, he doesn't deserve
I mean,
to have
that
it.
is the one thing that potentially he might have done wrong.
Yeah.
And probably he unknowingly had it. Probably. I mean, how many people really know the difference between a real and a fake $20 or $10 bill? I don't know. But yeah, for me, the worst and most disgusting part of that is people trying to justify the actions of the police officer or find some stupid excuse for a reason why this guy died. A knee on your neck for just under 9 minutes. Yeah, it's inexcusable. But somehow, some people still find a way to say, yeah, but in the past he did this, or oh my gosh, yeah, that one really gets me.
Yeah, so there's always an issue. There's always a reason why.
Always a reason.
It was okay
To justify a black guy's death. Always.
Yeah, always. And I don't feel like it's, for me personally, I felt like it was. I was shocked. Don't get me wrong. I'm not surprised. Someone that's like studies sociology or studies history, I've known about these police brutality incidents, and don't get me wrong, I was just as angry as you, Reggie. But for me, as I said, wasn't surprised, and it just really is just the way because we're in lockdown at the moment, or in a pandemic. There was just a spotlight on it, which is why it got the press it did. But imagine, I don't know, the hundreds or thousands of people a year that die like that in America, that there's no cameras around, and the police might get away with it. It happens a lot, and it's just something.
There's cameras right now, and they're getting away with it, bro.
They're getting away with it, and it's just quite sad, really.
Any final message you would give us to our listeners?
I would say educate yourselves on all forms of history. That's a big thing. And if you feel like someone's being discriminative or has a bad attitude to any sort of race, then you should definitely call them up about it, because then it forces change, it forces discussion, it allows people to change their attitudes.
Yeah, keep an open mind. Do not come with any prejudgments. When your friend of a different race is telling you about some affliction or issue that they're experiencing because of racism or whatever, do not think they're just playing a race card. Try and listen and understand. Be objective. Put your feet in their shoes for a second and try and understand. Don't have your preconceptions and think, yeah, your way's the only way there is. It's not ever that simple. Life's complex.